bank projects that we proposed, mostly because we had access, there's good access to them, there is erosion to the stream bank, and there's a long enough section that we could get the benefit we want. And then two other areas are two stormwater basins. Difficulty there, as you're aware, all of the stormwater basins in the township are privately owned. So ultimately, we will have to talk to homeowners associations to get, and property owners to get approval. And a lot of our basins are of the newer style, because, you know, we had that big push of development in the 2000s, and those were all the newer style. But two of the older basins that we've identified is over on Luray Circle. There's a basin behind the houses in the back of that cul-de-sac. And also there's one in Mill Creek Manor at the end of the cul-de-sac. So those are the two suggested basins to make improvements to, and the two stream bank areas to make improvements to. That's what's listed in the plan. We're not necessarily married to those, but that's what we've identified at this point. If something else becomes more available, or we can't work out an arrangement with any of these property owners, we'd have the ability to look at other areas. But we had to identify specific target projects. We couldn't just say, we're gonna fix two basins in the township and not say where they are or what we would do to them. So that's what we selected. Again, we can only look in those certain areas. We could only look in the Mill Creek section area, and then over along 3 Mile Run. There's not a lot of 3 Mile Run in the township, really. It's just the tailwaters of that. So we did advertise this again in the Intel. We established a 30-day public comment period. To my knowledge, we did not receive any public comment, written or otherwise. If there's any public comment tonight, that can be recorded before you take action on this. But ultimately, what we need is for you to take action on this plan, and then we will send it back to DEP for final approval. And once it's approved, we'll have 5 years to work on these projects. Essentially, through the next cycle of our permit. And at this point, there's no funding for it, so that'll be the first, I guess, goal is to figure out some budgets. There is some budget numbers in here, but we'll have to figure out where that money will ultimately come from.
So we need to conduct a hearing tonight?
I think you need to open for public comment.
Does anyone have any public comments on what Steve has just outlined? Yes, Mike.
I have one related to that. Michael Schromeyer at Sturgis Road. There's two state roads. One is Finland Road, the other is Upper Rockydale Road, or not Upper Rockydale, Upper Ridge Road. Both of them have driveways that are pouring water onto the road, and they're both state roads. But what is the procedure for getting, PennDOT or getting the landowner to rearrange their driveway a bit? Because in the instance of Finland Road, the water comes across right where they put the whole barrier along the side to protect cars and things. Well, now you've got a big patch of ice, and when the cars drive on, they carry the ice down the hill, so the whole hill is full of ice. PennDOT does put salt down, but that's not a solution, that's just covering up the problem.
You can contact me and I'll contact PennDOT to try to get them to do something
Okay.
about it.
I'll send you an email or something on it.
Michael, this is an issue that we've been dealing with for years here in the township, and I've addressed, Cat Hill Road is an area where there's been a lot of problems. They should have trench grates there, so the water goes in the trench grate in the ditch before it goes out onto the roadway. But it's very difficult to get PennDOT to write the proper letters to the property owners to get that done.
Yeah, it's really getting the property owner.
Township has been doing, we've been doing a good job on township roads. We've addressed several of those issues around the township, and they do work, so it is an issue. And I thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic that PennDOT spent all that money putting rails up and
Yes.
arrows, and then they have ice coming across there, so, thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Yes, Tony.
Tony Bogner, Clymer Avenue. I just have a question about that. In a perfect world, we don't live in, but if you couldn't obtain right away in those retention basins, and the creek bank was solid, what would DEP, what would they expect you to do?
There are some other options you can do. I mean, some of it sounds simple, but it's not. Street sweeping. The problem is you have to sweep the streets every week. You have to document the volume of material that you sweep off the streets, and it's not as easy as it sounds. But that's one option. There's some inlet filter types of things you can do, or specialized inlets that you could install at the sort of the downstream end of a run. They have these cyclone inlets that create a vortex in them and more or less spin out the sediment in them. But again, that's something where you have to measure the actual volume. Of
So
the
they're
sediment
expecting the
in water.
township to spend money on something, whether
Oh,
it
yes.
works or not.
Yes.
All right, it's,
You
We
understand?
went round and round about this the last time. and we
I
were
know.
told We were forced that we had to do this.
I know, it's just when you think, I mean, I would assume like, you're gonna use Gabion baskets or something for the.
No, you have to naturalize the stream banks. We have to cut them back. You gotta do like koi rolls on them and revegetate them.
Because by the time you do all that, I mean, I know you have, silt sock and filters and everything, but it just seems like by the time you do that, you just let more sediment go just from the construction of it. You know what I'm saying? It just seems silly, but
Yeah, I will say, the one stream it is a challenge would be Mill Creek. Because of the nature of that, that really rocks the road when it rains. And turns brown and empty.
I can share with you this, I know 3 Mile Run Creek pretty well because it runs through my property, and there is no soft sediment anymore, it's all down with clay. The banks that are there are clay, and the rain we had over the past year, most of the banks in almost all the streams that I view, and I get around to a lot of them in the township and around this area, they're down to the clay. So they're really, I don't know what we're gonna do.
well, that's why.
That's a straightaway there he's talking about, along the Fedegari, so maybe there is some space there to create or improve
Because
something.
the Perkiomen, I mean, I know that's not anything, but that's down the rock. I mean, you're not gonna get,
That's what you have in my place is red shale.
yeah.
Yeah, the red shale runs over the red shale, and then the banks are clay, and they haven't gone anywhere in, 30 years that I've been there. Anyway,
Yeah, and it's not appropriate, that option's not appropriate on every stream. It's just one of the items that you can do. And it actually, you get very good credit for doing it. So if you can identify an area, you get a lot of bang for your buck on that type of project, more so than you do on some of the other projects. And that, it comes from someone's experimentation on the benefit of those projects. They came up with an empirical formula that says if you fix X amount of stream bank, you'll get this much, pounds per year benefit of reduced sediment to a stream. And those are the numbers we have to meet.
They do a lot of desk work. Either make work, unfunded projects.
I think you picked a good experimental area though, the stretch of the Fedegari, and Mill Creek, you did pick 2 good areas.
Yeah, those seem to be, and they wouldn't even accept just for us to list them. We had to send them pictures to show them the area and prove to them that it was a viable area to list.
Which they've been there to look at it, right?
Excuse me?
They've been there to look at it,
No, just for the photographs.
just checking. Okay. Anybody else have any more comments? John, I think you had your hand raised.
Yeah, thanks, Don. John Sparta, Bridge Valley Road. Steve, did you work up cost estimates for these projects, and was cost a factor in the projects that you chose?
We do have some basic cost information. It's strictly a construction cost and not anything to do with the permitting and if there's any land acquisition costs. And it did not necessarily drive what projects we've chose. It was more of a what's feasible. Just for an example, let's see here, the Mill Creek stabilization along Mill Creek is approximately a $90,000 to $110,000 project. two basin projects are more like $10,000 projects. Again, they're less of cost, but they're also, you get less credit for doing those. And the other stream bank, the Fedegari stream bank was estimated at $30,000 to $36,000. Part of that difference is the length of stream bank that,
So somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000 right now for the two projects.
No, no.
no, for all four projects, we're
140,
talking
150,000.
plus 100,
I didn't
yeah,
think
150 at least.
150,000 at least,
At
yeah.
least.
At least.
And that's not permitting and that's just, construction.
Totally unfunded.
At this point, yes.
Should we
And I
go-
don't anticipate that there will be grants. Although, you may be able to piggyback some grants. There's some growing greener grants that that could do some stream bank works. There's some vegetation grants along stream banks, like Tree Vitalize, where you could get part of the funds for it. Or even possibly like a DCNR grant or some, so there's not, what I mean to say by unfunded, there's no specific grant money to do MS4 work, but there may be an opportunity for some other grant programs to pay for part of this work.
So this, we have 5 years, once it's accepted.
Yes.
So when do you get those grants? Those you should work on, or you have to get them ahead of time, right? So you know you're gonna have the money.
Right, we would need to do a little bit of preliminary work, enough preliminary work to be able to use that to submit for a grant. So we would need to do some work in the first year or two, some planning work in the first year or two to try and apply for a grant to get it, so you could have it by the 4th or 5th year to actually do the construction.
So we probably need to know what the preliminary work would cost first, right?
Yes. And we can work that out. Once they approve our plan, I wouldn't wanna spend too much time on it now, just in case they change the rules on us again.
Okay, anything else, Steve?
No.
Okay. I entertain a motion for approval of Steve's report.
Make a motion.
The move by Jim,
I'll second.
second.
We need a
Approval.
specific approval of the PRP.
Okay, so put forth a motion for that.
I'll make the motion. I'll second it.
Okay.
Not happy about it, but we're forced to do it.
And moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think it's a bunch of made-up work myself.
And now, approve Steve's report.
Make a motion for the engineer's report. I'll second it.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Solicitor's report, there's everything.
The only thing out of the solicitor's report this evening is a resolution to approve the comprehensive plan, and since Greg had the comprehensive plan comments under his report, probably is better wait to adopt the comprehensive plan after people have had a chance to comment on it.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, I won't have a report tonight.
I move to approve Mary's non-report.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Township manager, Mr. Lippincott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The treasurer's report for January 31st, 2019 is up on the board. The general fund, $376,516.34. Highway aid, $78,536.34. Open space, $841,598.39. The park fund, $7,391.22. The equipment fund, $220.79. Highway capital, $126.65. Streetlight, $31,412.40. The reserve funds, general fund reserve, $343,403. Open space Manderfield, $50,599. Sewage maintenance fund, $170,442.94. The stormwater fund, $5,419.58. And the escrow funds, $349,939.66. We also have a copy and a list of the bills.
Okay, I hear a motion for approval of the financial report.
I'll make that motion. I'll
second.
Okay, we moved in second, and, added that, pay the bills and all subject to audit. With that,
Aye.
all in favor? Aye. Okay.
The next item on the report is the comprehensive plan update. That has been presented at the comprehensive plan meetings, it's been presented at the planning commission meetings, it's been presented at the board of supervisors meeting at last month's meeting. So it's been advertised tonight for a public hearing, for any public comment. The board has to open up a hearing, and anyone can give public comment on the comprehensive plan.
So with that, I'll open up the floor for hearing, with comments relative to the comprehensive plan. Those of you who had a chance to review it, look at it. It's, I think it's well done, we have a real good group this year, and it goes beyond where we went on the first comprehensive plan, because we have more background already to spend more time on that. And John was with us in that group, a number of planning commissions, and Bob Strobel from the Park and Rec, and we had a year and a half of work on that, and I think it turned out well. I thank you, John, for your efforts, and your wife, by the way, she was a major contributor. She kept us in check all the time.
Thank you so much for that comment. But could I please say something?
Certainly.
I'd like to also, credit where credit is due. Bucks County, sent us a very excellent professional to work with, Chris Stockney. He was a major contributor, and I think a good portion of how well that plan turned out was because they sent us someone so well trained.
He was very skilled.
Very, very.
Anyone have any other comments? Yes,
Yeah,
sir?
I have one question. I remember, Cliff Cole, Sioux Crop Road. I remember when he gave the presentation, there was some mention of trails that, there were trails that they're trying to establish or are already there or whatever. And they were talking about trying to get volunteers to work on, is that part of Parks and Recreation? Does that come under that?
Yeah, and that was addressed as strongly as it was, because we did survey amongst, throughout the community, and that was the number one subject that was on the top of the list, trails. Second was that, to maintain low taxes, which is typically maybe the first one, but it was certainly number one, and that is appropriately incorporated into comprehensive plan. We have a separate park and rec and open space or conservation and trails plan that exists, which those groups prepared, I guess about 4 or 5 years ago. So in the comp plan, we have a charge to move forward with that trail planning. So that's a big factor. And we have the atmosphere and the environment to create some really great trails because, excuse me, of the amount of woodland and open space and so forth that we have. So it could be a great opportunity for the community. At least that's my perspective and other people's perspective. So that's a big factor.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions about the plan? If you haven't read it or looked at it, I suggest take a look at it. There's some interesting facts and history and new thoughts that are in there that basically it's a strategy of where this community is going to go in the next 15 years. So I think it would be important for you to take a look at that, and if nothing else, read the summary. They also have some great photography in there. So does anybody else have any questions, comments, critiques? Seeing none, I'll close the hearing and we'll put this to vote for approval of the 2018 comprehensive plan as presented to cover the next 15 years of the strategy for this township.
And to that end, we prepared a resolution specifically adopting it. It would be resolution 2019-05. So your motion could simply be to adopt the comprehensive plan through resolution 2019-05.
Well spoken. So said.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
The second of the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is part of the 2019 budget is to replace the roof on the Public Works building. The board has 3 quotes. The low quote is from Tim Schaefer for $18,125. I would be looking for authorization from the board to approve the Tim Schaefer quote.
I've looked at all 3 of the quotes, and I find, I think Mr. Schaefer has a good reputation.
Yes.
And I would be willing to make a motion to approve that bid.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it. Move on.
Okay. The next item is authorization to advertise for administrative assistant, part-time. At the end of March, Judy Decker, the township secretary, will be retiring. So, part of the 2019 budget was a part-time administrative assistant. So I would look for authorization to advertise that position.
Okay,
I'll make that motion, and I'll second.
moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
And we would like the opportunity to interview, or at least have discussion,
Well,
part of that.
you're the people that have to appoint, so. Next item is, there's a memo in your packet, and I get to it, okay? For video and audio taping township meetings. I put together suggestions for what the rules should be, and if you so approve, we'll form a resolution for next month's meeting. The number 1 should be, there should be no recording devices in any aisleway, so that for fire and safety reasons. No recording device shall be greater height than the person sitting in a chair. This is so to ensure that everyone can see in the back. And that no audio-video devices can be placed on the township dais or tables.
You might explain why that.
Well, the reason for that is sometimes the township solicitor may have to give legal advice to the board, and we don't want a microphone to be able to pick that up.
Okay.
Those are the 3 rules.
Do you gentlemen have any questions or concerns? or-
I have no questions. I would be willing to move forward with this.
I would too. I'll make a motion to
Okay,
accept it.
and I would second.
Okay,
Okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
I think that's all on my list.
Okay, any old business?
On the same line, we had talked about videotape, having the township videotape and make copies and keep copies available for residents of these meetings. And you had said you wanted to think about it some more, Don, so.
Yeah, I would like for us to have some more discussion to make sure we haven't really talked about it in detail. How we do that, and who takes the pictures, and who manages it, who distributes it, and where we store it. But, typically, I guess my view is, we haven't really had a need for that. The public does it, they have a right to do it, we can't stop them. I'm just wondering, do we need to do it as well? So I don't know, do you have any thoughts?
I've given my thought publicly. I'm not in favor of it. We have people right here taping now. I count 3 cameras in this room right now. There's no reason for the township to get involved in it.
And my opinion is that we need an official copy that the township can authorize and keep on the server downstairs, and people that can't make the meetings, then they can just log on to the website, the West Rock Hill website, click on a link and get the entire video or any video in the past.
Okay.
That way we know it's a complete set, unedited, everything's right there.
David, I think you were first.
All right, thank you. David Collingwood, Barton Road. I find it hard to understand when the solicitor has indicated that the private citizens do not have to share their audio or video with anyone. In fact, some of these people have already put it online and marked it private, and we have been unable to look at it. So it's not available to the general public just because it is being videotaped by private citizens. Number 2,
Are you pointing at me, David?
no, I'm not, I'm sorry. The police have recommended that this is a public building and one of the few in the township that doesn't have audio and video cameras up. We have a tax collector in the back that's collecting thousands of dollars in tax dollars. We have a woman who's gonna be a clerk by herself if the township manager is out doing building inspections until, once Judy leaves, and we don't know when we're gonna have a new hire. Single person in the building. It just doesn't make sense that we can spend thousands of dollars for a few other things that I'm not in favor of, but we can't pay $500 for video equipment that would be a benefit to every person in this township.
Yeah, I think you're talking about a different subject than what Jim's talking about. Jim's talking about videoing, taping these movies, these meetings. What I understand you're talking about is video and activity outside the building.
I'm talking about both because at the last meeting, it was brought up that we should have cameras not only in this room to videotape these meetings, but we should have it in the lobby for the protection of people in the building. And that's why the police made the comment that they did, that they are in favor of it and they recommend it.
Well, their comment was strictly in relating to the video cameras outside on the building. They didn't comment about videoing these meetings.
So what is your issue with having cameras in this building, in the meeting? Your comment at the last meeting was that the township may order the content of the video. Well, you are the township. You control that. You're the board of supervisors.
I misunderstood what I said.
No?
The accusations will be there. It's somebody's opinion if they don't see something on the video that we produced. The accusations are that we modified the video. And we don't need that kind of activity going on in this, to run this activity. It's unnecessary.
Most progressive townships not only videotape the meetings, they put them on television for people to view, for the taxpayers to see. Go look, you can look at Hatfield, you can look at any progressive township. It's about time that we step up and do that. It's a nominal fee to have these meetings and a camera in place to have them videotaped. And Jay, Jay, you said that you weren't in favor because we couldn't afford it. That was your comment at the last meeting.
I don't think I did say because we couldn't afford it.
Yes, you did.
I've never been in favor of the township getting involved in videotaping meetings ever, since I've been supervisor, never.
Why?
We've had a lot of pressure.
We don't need to be involved in that, we have citizens
Comcast
that
and
videotape.
Verizon.
This is my time.
Yes, you will.
Before Mike speaks, I just wanted to clarify something. The police, I think it was Sergeant Maloney, did say that it would be good to have these meetings videotaped in case they need that for evidence later because of something that happened in the meeting. So there was comments about videotaping in here as well as putting something up there. I just wanted to add that.
Michael?
Yeah, Michael Schromeyer, Sturgis Road. I'll try to make it brief. I strongly advise that you videotape the meetings, and I think the outside security is a very good idea, because if you've seen in the past, we've had a few contentious meetings that gets carried out into the hallway. And I think the evidence collection is one item. The other item is, it's agreed that private citizens can videotape. However, number one, it's disruptive when you have a private citizen telling people where to stand and what to say, and where to say it instead of the supervisors who are supposed to be running the meeting. The second one is, these tapes may be edited by private citizens before they're posted. And somebody looking at that tape has no idea what part was cut out or what was edited, and most of the editing is for their own private group to promote their own agenda. So unless the township produces a video that goes streaming straight to the server or straight to a TV where other people can be watching the meeting live, you have no idea what went on in this meeting, because the tapes you could be looking at from private citizens have been edited. Or as David said, that may not even be shown in the public. They may be private because they don't fit their agenda. So I strongly urge, if you spend a couple hundred, we're talking $500 here or whatever, you put a couple cameras in here for the meetings, put some security cameras outside. Everybody else is doing it, it's a technology in the day. I don't know why you don't even think about doing it. Thank you.
Again, appreciate your input. So, anybody have any more thoughts or comments?
No.
I mean, my understanding was the last time we decided we would address that when we sat down and started working out, figuring out what we were gonna do to the entrance of this building. And so,
We'll get film over here.
I think that would be appropriate time. And, you know, my concern is video, if it's done, produced by somebody, or a little
Don, if you're
TV.
talking to me, could you please get closer to the mic? It's not hearing
People are not
you.
going, they're not gonna come, they stay home and watch the TV. It's more important to have people here at this meeting and have a direct interchange than 6 weeks later or a week later, somebody comes in and they wanna have a debate about what the discussion was. Whereas they're here, come to the meeting, they're here, they can have that discussion and everybody can hear it and be a part of it. That's a big factor in these township meetings, and I think we would lose that.
I respectfully think that's a very bad argument to make, because we're making special provisions for taxpayers to come in who are handicapped, or go see them if they're handicapped. You expect handicapped people to show up at every meeting?
You know, what's the relevance to
And
that?
they should be involved. And we should use technology to let them be involved. I'm sorry, I'm finished.
Going with Barton Road, my take on that is, you're expecting all 4,000 residents of the township to come to this meeting, and we can only sit 40 people in this room, but if it was on videotape, every one of them could sit and watch the replay, or even be here and go home and watch it again. There's not physically, it's not capable to have everybody in the township in this meeting, as you suggested. Just can't happen. The video takes care of that.
I don't think I suggested everybody, I said we have more people come, so let's keep it within bounds of what we're talking about. My suggestion is we have solid input from various individuals, and we table this and we talk about it among the board as to what the plan would be for the whole scope of whatever we recorded. That's what I propose.
It'll be
Like
tabled
a
for
short-
14 months.
Don, you've tabled things before and just let them ride for 18, 20 months. That's just a method of saying no. I think you should consider it, not just table it.
I would debate 18 or 20 months, but there may have been 1 or 2 cases over 18 years.